quick one on, this is obviously the day before weigh-in. It's very different for the heavyweights, and I'm sure that we're obviously all interested in the weights of Anthony Joshua and Oleksander Usyk. But before I get to that with Gareth, Spence, just on you, with people like Callum who do have to cut a touch and have to make weight, what is the night before you hit the scales like as a fighter?
Listen, the night before you hit the weight is a nightmare, if I'm totally honest, because all you want to do is get in there. You want to fight, but because you're cutting weight, it's tight. You're cutting down. You're having minimal stuff, and yeah, it's frustrating. You get a bit edgy. It's hard, and the harder you have to make it. How he made 168, by the way, I will never know that, because he was so big for the weight, and that become evident when he boxed Canelo. He just looked weak. He looked dead. He looked drawn. He looked sunken-eyed. So 175 is going to be a much better fighter, and I think a massive force in the light heavyweight division. But yeah, listen, that's the one thing I do not miss from boxing, is cutting weight. Yeah. You know, if I could do it all again, I would do it all again. And I'd do it twice on Sundays. I would do it in a heartbeat. But that making the weight was an absolute nightmare. So I knew where he was at, and I know where fighters are at when I see them get on the scales now, because I was there. You know, when you see a fighter and they look dead at the weight, like Josh Taylor comes to mind when he boxed Catterall. When I saw him the day of the weigh-in, I was like, this kid ain't going to perform. He's going to be at 50% max at best, 50% of what he could produce, because he was so like drawn. You could see his cheekbones, his eyes were black. You know when a fighter's struggling for the weight, and that is the worst thing in the world. But all fighters cut weight, so you have to go through that yourself. Yeah, absolutely. On this division, just quickly, again, I know that obviously we want to talk about the big one, but Callum is on this, and it is a world title eliminator for him against Baudalik this weekend in Saudi Arabia. We'll bring you the commentary of this live on talkSPORT. This division, we know who the big boys are. Beterbiev, Bivol, they're the big lads. And then on the domestic scene, we've got some very, very good fighters. Callum Smith obviously has been in with the very, very best at super middleweight. He's only had one at light heavy. If he wins this, he's next in line for someone like Beterbiev, the WBC champion. How do you think he goes? Because the top of the rankings at light heavyweight are the very, very best of the best.
Yeah, and I think we'll see him in very good form against Matthew Baudalik, a fight a year for the last 3 years. I don't think he's of the same level as Callum, and I think Callum's kind of size and experience. I was looking at him yesterday as well. It is extraordinary. You know, he's got those very long legs, 6'5". He looks like he's grown since he left super middleweight, to be honest, literally grown in height. I think he matches up very, very well with Anthony Yarde and Joshua Buatsi. They're fantastic butt fights, both of those, right now. He needs 2 or 3 fights at light heavy, and he's ready for Bivol and Beterbiev. Certainly him and Bivol is a fantastic fight, and when you think about the styles, that is a boxing chess match. Beterbiev, I don't know. Artur Beterbiev for me is the tank of the division. I think he's going to be very, very difficult to beat.
Yeah. All right, let's get on to the weights of the big boys. Obviously, we've got the heavyweight clash on Saturday night. These boys don't have to cut weight, but we're hearing various reports of what types of weight they'll be coming in at. Now, what are you expecting, first of all, from the champion, Oleksander Usyk, ahead of this one?
Well, he was 15 stone 11 for the last fight, wasn't he? 221 pounds. He's definitely heavier, you can see it. It wouldn't surprise me if people have said he's 20 kilos heavier. In fact, to go back to March, April, his wife said he lost 10 kilos in weight from stress when he was working as a soldier, serving as a soldier in the territorial divisions in Ukraine. But I suspect he'll be about 16.5, something like that, 16.6. You can see where he's put it on. And you know, the video that one of our team put around today, he has been vulnerable to the body during his career. And people have hit him with elbows and all sorts of different things and low blows to kind of weaken his strengths, particularly at cruiserweight. He's a bigger man now. It doesn't make sense in him being a stone heavier than he was against Joshua, somewhere close to 17 stone. Doesn't make sense at all. 16.5, and Joshua looks very lean. I know we'll go to Joshua in a minute, but he looks very lean. I think he'll probably be about a stone heavier than Usyk when they step into the ring.
Listen, we've all been up close and personal with him this week. What have you made of it? What you've seen physically from both men?
Listen, physically, I think they both look in great shape, as you would expect of a fight of this magnitude. I think that Usyk, for me, I think he may be even slightly heavier than that. I think he may come in around 16.10, something like that. It's all muscle mass. I was with him yesterday, actually. We had a little photo together and stuff. But when you put your arm around a guy, and he just felt solid. He felt like in great shape. Do you know what I mean? He felt like it was just that he had bulked up in muscle. And the reason I think that he's done that is because I believe that he thinks that Joshua recognised that he's obviously got it wrong, and he knows that Joshua's going to have to roll the dice
for
any. Absolutely. So he's had to put on that extra bit of weight. He's a world-class operator. He knows how to adjust the body, what sort of weight he has to come into. And on the flip side, so does Anthony Joshua. You're talking there about heavyweights not having to cut weight. They have to hit the weight right. I'll give you an example. Anthony Joshua comes in anywhere over 17.5.
Yeah.
He's too slow. He's off the pace, just a little bit off the pace, and that makes him very vulnerable. He's slow with his feet. He's slow with his hands. His head movement's just off the pace. He needs to come in, Joshua here, for me to withstand any chance. I'm going to say this now. He needs to come in anywhere between 17.1 and 17.3 to win this contest. I think if he comes in over that, I'm going to start worrying, because I know in previous performances he's slow. Joshua's one of those guys that you see him, he's got a dietitian on board, and he does like to hit weight. They do watch. It's not like the old days where they'd go and eat a big steak and have a couple of burgers or whatever and eat whatever they want.
Now we know why he didn't make weight.
No, I'm saying it's not like that. It's like they are athletes now, and they do hit weights.
Can I just say, on those weights, and I'll agree with you, I normally agree with you anyway, but on the weights, the fact that Joshua, as you say, does definitely look leaner and probably will be under 17.5, and Usyk's heavier, it could twist the whole fight, couldn't it? Because if Joshua doesn't have an adrenaline dump during the fight, and he has some success, and his jab does work on the night, and he is dominating Usyk early in the fight, and Usyk has to bring it later on, Usyk might tire and get depleted because he's heavier. It does throw that into the equation.
It makes it a new fight. Forget what happened in the last one, because they've both been on different journeys, and they're both coming in at different weights. It makes it so... Yeah, it's so intriguing, because it's like one of those ones, again, we've all got our ideas, we've all got our opinions, until that bell rings and we see what Robert Garcia's added to Joshua. You're right there in what you said. Joshua, we saw in the open workout, he was working the jab much more than he's been used to, and he was throwing it differently. He was touching down, touching up. That's a key weapon for him, because he has height and reach advantages. If he can keep Usyk there and not allow him into his space, and then fire off with his big shots, if he's got that explosiveness, it makes it a totally different fight. It's really intriguing, this one, because everybody will be going, because of the dominance of Usyk in that first fight, everyone will be expecting him to win easily. I don't see it like that.